great selection, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, right on I-40.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Good morning and welcome to Heart Mooresville, your small town radio show with a big heart. I'm your host, Christine Patterson, and I've got co-host Don Smyle.
Good morning.
We are super excited today because we have a special guest in the studio, one of our own, Miss Alyssa Anderson.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for joining us. Alyssa is our marketing coordinator for the Town of Mooresville Arts and Events department. We are so excited to talk about upcoming events, kind of take a little behind the scenes look into what you do, which is also what Dawn does. So we're going to talk about all things marketing today. Marketing, events, fun things.
Yeah, maybe tell some stories, right?
Oh, yeah. We like some stories.
You know, I've got a few after 20 plus years in racing. Many I can't talk about, but, you know.
Oh, no, we definitely want to hear those.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll redact the names.
Okay. It'll just be a lot of bleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be the bleep show today.
I like that. And then before we do, as always, we like to keep our listeners informed, and we want to talk about in the news, what's going on. So one of the stories that I would like to share today is about our own Richard's Coffee Shop on Main Street. So ESPN News has been there recently over the past few weeks filming.
Yeah, we talked about that last week with our guest from Richard's Coffee Shop. And, you know, having worked in television for many years, ESPN production is, you know, just top notch.
Yeah.
And if they choose to come cover you, you can bet, one, they're bringing an army of people. Because
Right.
that's what production people do, just invade, take over. But secondly, they're going to tell an amazing story. And so I'm quite sure that the feature that they did for ESPN's Game Day was great.
So it premiered on Friday. So when we talked to Jim Keiger last week, he was our guest. He did tell us a little bit about them coming out. It was part of of course, a Veterans Day, segment that highlighted Richard's Coffee Shop as one of the most, patriotic coffee shops in the country, which is very cool, and we'll definitely accept that moniker. But they didn't have the air dates at the time when we talked about it last week, and so the premiere date was this past Friday at 6:30 p.m. They aired it during some football broadcasts and some regular ESPN shows, but you can catch it again. So if you have not seen it yet, it will actually be airing tonight at 9 p.m. as a Sports Center special on ESPN News. And then you can catch broadcasts throughout the week. They're going to play it again at Wednesday at 7, Friday at 9, Sunday at 2 p.m. But you can also get it anytime on ESPN+.
Well, that's amazing that they're going to rebroadcast it so many times, and you haven't seen it. Yeah, make it a point. Make it must-see television.
Yeah, and I don't think Mooresville was not the only one featured. They also went to Concord, Kannapolis, I believe. Mm-hmm. There's a couple local places that will be featured on there. So you see a little bit of home if you watch it.
And of course, there are Veterans Day events happening all week.
That's right.
And I'm sure we'll touch on those as we move into the show. So
Absolutely.
Plenty of opportunities to celebrate our veterans and stop by Richard's Coffee Shop and say hello.
That's right. Yeah, there's no shortage of celebrating veterans around here in Mooresville. And then another topic that I'm sure everyone has been asking about lately is the widening of Highway 150.
No, nobody talks about that.
I've never heard of what's 150.
Yeah, nobody talks about that. And just for the record,
I think they do.
Just for the record, Parks and Recreation has nothing to do with widening the roads. You'd be surprised how many people comment on that. Can you fix the roads? Yeah, we love to help the community. We really do.
You should start fixing roads.
But we can't do that.
You should, I don't know.
You can at least
Parks
put
and
in a good
Recreation.
word.
Yeah, they do everything.
Put in a good word.
Put in a good word.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll pass it along.
Well, I am happy to say that we actually did get some follow-ups, some updates on the widening of 150 project. So, it's that 15-mile stretch of road, NC Highway 150 from Mooresville into Catawba County. So it will officially begin next year. So 2025, our North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer and our Town of Mooresville Commissioner Lisa Qualls announced the project on Thursday. Now, I have to say a big shout out to both of them because they've been very involved with this project. They've been great advocates of, trying to voice the opinion, trying to get that money to Iredell County for this project. And so thanks to both of them for for kind of, spearheading that. But the NC Department of Transportation awarded that $250 million contract to Blythe Development, which is based out of Charlotte. The work will begin early 2025, estimated to be completed by 2030. Of course, we all know how construction projects go, but hopefully they'll stay on track.
And and just be prepared, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
be
yeah.
patient.
You have asked for improvements. They are coming, but with that comes the need for patience.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, everyone's gonna have to have patience. I mean, they're turning that 2 lanes into multiple lanes. Obviously, the hope is to alleviate some of that congestion and improve safety because it is one of the region's most heavily traveled corridors. So,
now, exactly where is this? Because as you know, I live in Harrisburg.
yeah.
And so I drive in to Mooresville every day, and I come up Highway 3, past, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated up there. That is a 2-lane road,
Mm-hmm.
and I call it the Patience Road,
Yeah.
okay? Because there is
Yeah.
nowhere to pass on that road, and it is
Mhm.
very windy and
Yeah.
very busy in the morning. Now, and I've almost been hit head on a couple times because people
Oh,
are
wow.
trying to pass in a corner. And you
Wow.
come around the
Yeah.
corner, and there's
Dangerous.
this beautiful car heading right for you. And so I
Ooh.
call it the Patience Truck Alley because no matter whether I'm going to work or coming home,
Yeah.
you get behind a truck, and the truck is doing 35 or 40 miles an hour. Big construction trucks and dump trucks and every other truck, and there's nowhere to pass. So you just have to put on the music, or I have downloaded Babbel. I'm going to start learning a language because I have plenty of time.
There
So
you go. So you can learn a language. Well, hopefully you won't have to too much
that's
longer.
not one, I don't know if that section is slated in
So
the future or not, but
it's
gosh,
that 15 miles from Mooresville to Catawba. So it's from the North Carolina Highway 16 in Catawba to
Oh.
just west of US 21
Okay.
and the NC 150 interchange at Mooresville and Iredell.
yeah, so
So
not
you might have to
so
wait a
not the
little longer
patience,
on
not
that
the
one.
Sorry,
patience
Don.
corridor.
Ah.
Sorry.
You're
You're going to
What
be
is-
really good at the language
Yes,
you choose.
yes.
What does Justin say? Wear your patience pants, I think
Yeah.
is what he says in the
Oh, my
morning.
goodness.
So other thing I wanted to point out was one of my favorite fundraisers that we do is Mooresville Police Department. It's called it's Target's Heroes and Helpers program. So every year, the Mooresville Police Department partners with the Salvation Army and Target's Heroes and Helpers program. They pair local first responders with children in need, and they just set them loose in Target on this shopping spree. It's crazy. They each get like a $200 gift card. The MPD actually applies for grants through the Heroes and Helpers program, but those funds are limited. But they get this $200 gift card. They get to participate in a group breakfast with the officers, and then they get a sleigh ride to the store. Now, the sleigh ride is like a police escort. If you've never seen it, it's just this long line and this procession of officers with
That's cool.
kids in the car
That's
ready
cool.
to shop. But F3, which stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith, they actually do a fundraiser every year to help expand that program so it can reach more kids. And F3 is doing a bowling tournament. It's at Victory Lanes. It's December 1st. It's $150 to be a part of it. And that, of course, gets your lanes and shoe rentals. It covers all of that. And it's from noon to 3 p.m. You can visit f3racecity.com to get involved. But what an amazing program to help expand that program for kids.
The videos of the kids in Target and stuff are the cutest
Oh,
ever.
I love looking at the photos.
It's so fun.
They're so excited.
Yeah.
I love it. So, yeah, great thing to be a part of. Again, that's f3racecity.com, and we'll be right back with I Heart Mooresville after the break.
There's more I Heart Mooresville on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
What do you say we turn up the fall meter just a little bit? Cooler over the next couple of days around Lake Norman. Plenty of sunshine today as high temperatures climb into the upper 60s for the afternoon. We go back down into low 40s under a clear sky tonight. Even a few spots around the outlying areas and farms that could wake up to the upper 30s on Wednesday, with high temperatures only in the low 60s for hump day. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like ISI Denver.
Cakes, cookies, toys, and gifts. The Southern Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Hot Rods and Hops is back on Friday night at Rev Fast in Mooresville. The cruise-in featuring souped-up cars, trucks, and motorcycles kicks off at 6 p.m. Your weekend begins at Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville Friday night with Hot Rods and Hops. Langtree Lake Norman lights their Christmas tree on Saturday. The annual event begins at 5 p.m. Festivities include visits with Santa, bounce houses, vendors, the Langtree Charter Academy Band, and more. Come out Saturday to Langtree Lake Norman off exit 31 from I-77 for their annual tree lighting. The WSIC squad is back for trivia at Micaiah's. Come join us on Tuesday, November 19th at Micaiah's in Mooresville for Big Bang Theory trivia. Meet WSIC show hosts, play trivia based on the popular long-running sitcom, and win some prizes. Knock, knock, knock. Penny? We'll see you at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, November 19th. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway begins Friday, November 22nd. The Holiday Light Show features more than 5 million lights on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. The show also has drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back, Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. While supplies last, don't miss the Renaissance Festival. Huzzah!
Call now to speak with iHeart Mooresville hosts Christine Patterson and Don Smyle at 844-STUDIO-4. It's iHeart Mooresville on WSIC.
All right, welcome back to Heart Mooresville here on WSIC. I'm your host, Don Smyle, along with Christine Patterson and our special guest, Alyssa Anderson from the Arts and Events Division. So, Alyssa, you and I have worked together for a while now, and, I think we kind of hit our stride when we did the 150 last year.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, for all of us, an amazing undertaking, first of all. But it presented so many opportunities from a marketing perspective, challenges as well.
Yeah.
And I know that, we met quite often as a leadership team for the 150 to talk about marketing and how we were going to execute those. And I think, the great thing that came out of that, first of all, was the sustainable events that we're doing.
Yes.
And a lot of that was because of the marketing, because we were able to create programs, marketing and promotion against events that the community came out and engaged in.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately those resulted in some events that are continuing forward. So let's just take a trip in the Wayback Machine, as I like to call it, and just talk about the 150 and what I'm curious, after all is said and done, because we always have time to reflect, what are you most proud of, first of all, as a marketing person?
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, what was that year like for you?
She blocks it out.
If you can remember,
No.
so, just kind of talk about that, because I think, we all understand what went into it. Maybe the community doesn't, but from a marketing and a marketer's perspective, it was both a challenge, an opportunity, and ultimately, I believe, a success.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like the thing that kind of stood out to me the most was like the need for events in Mooresville.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's so many great community members and organizations that put on events in Mooresville, but like those big wow things that I think that we were looking for.
We didn't have that signature.
We didn't have the signature.
Yeah.
Like, we started with 7. We are not doing 7 anymore, which is wonderful, because another thing is it's a lot to market consistently for 7 events, because there's a lot of overlap, and sometimes you kind of feel like, am I giving this enough attention?
Yeah.
Like, what is the thing that's gonna make it buzz and get people's attention online?
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like the year in general was like a whole new learning thing for me specifically.
And what are some of those things for people that don't know? Like, what, how did we market those events? I mean, what was that?
Yeah.
What did that scale look like?
So the scale was large. We did billboards. We did promotional videos. We did specific sponsor videos. We did a lot of social media posts, static, reels. We put a lot of ad spend toward things just to kind of get it out there because there was like a lot riding on the 150.
Yeah.
So, we put a little bit of money toward getting the word out there, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that most people don't think about is the promotion and marketing that happens day up or at the event,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so you show up and you have this really cool thing happening, and there's signage everywhere, and there's flags, and there's banners,
Yeah.
and there's whatever, and all of that is also part of the marketing that takes place on the sponsorship side.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
Ultimately, part of any sponsor, or as we like to call them, partnership programs, is that you align with what their needs are,
Exactly.
and you provide a platform to communicate with the community in a way that aligns with what they're trying to do.
Right.
And a lot of our sponsors, partners, they use the platform in different ways. Some were simply wanting to tell their story.
Yeah. Engage with the community.
Engage with the
Yep.
community. And others wanted to use it as a platform for their employees to
Right.
be able to
Right.
participate in
Yep.
community events and be out there, right?
Yeah, like Tech specifically wanted their staff to be able to interact and really for the town to get to know that Tech is here.
Right.
Another
hiring.
thing they wanted to do was hire.
Right.
Yeah.
Hiring was a
Yeah,
big one.
and they got employees from B3, and I think that's kind of why they enjoy partnering and did it again this year.
Yeah.
We did bigger and better for their activation area this year. It was fun. We had the bobsled team, as everybody know, but
Yeah. So what was your kind of goal going into that with sponsors? Like how did you kind of work with them to?
yeah, I think the main goal was really like creating relationships with them, but also getting for them to get exactly what they needed out of it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was cool is we all know Hans DeBow
Yeah.
is a very outgoing guy, and he says what's on his mind. And he said, straight up, if you did not know who Tech was when you left B3
That's right.
last
Yeah,
year,
your eyes were closed.
your eyes were closed, right?
Yeah.
And because you guys did such an
Yeah.
amazing job putting them front and center
Yeah.
to the community, and they were able to tell their story. And they had a great time, but there's a purpose behind the investment of dollars
Right.
in an event
Of
like
course,
that.
yeah.
And I feel that they feel that the return on investment was significant, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned, they got employees out of it. Their story is being told. What they do is amazing, and the fact that we have a company here in Mooresville that produces the bobsleds and what's the other platform? I can't remember. Anyway,
Oh, GM, like
no. Well, the
Just the carbon
the
fiber
bobsleds and the
skeleton.
skeletons for the U.S. Olympic
Yeah.
athletes, and the fact that those athletes then came to the event,
Yeah.
and so it just really became this really cohesive thing that elevated not only them as a business,
Yeah.
but them as a community member, somebody that's giving back to an organization that is representing the United States. And I'm so pumped to watch the Olympics.
I am too.
Yeah.
And know that the bobsleds that are going down that track
I know.
were made right here in
In
Mooresville.
USA, Musa.
Musa.
I led a couple of those on
Mooresville,
stage.
USA, Musa.
Very
That's the
cool.
name of the sled.
I think
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing about what we do, and especially what you all do as marketers, is seeing an idea come from the very beginning of just in a room at a meeting
Yeah.
talking about what this could look like, and then seeing that process.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
thing, and then how that all comes to life, and then being able to reach the goals and actually accomplish what you want. That's just it's amazing. It's very cool to see that kind of from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had forgotten a lot of that until we watched the behind the scenes video
Yes.
that you had created against the 150. And by the way, we need to resurrect that.
We do.
We need to share that again.
I know. Not enough happened with
Not
that.
enough happened with that. And so maybe we can, post it on here
Yeah.
as part of our show, and people can see it.
Oh,
But
that'd be fun.
The
yeah.
anniversary of the 150th
Yeah.
anniversary. Throwback.
Yeah, and you're right. The evolution of an idea,
Yeah.
it's always been something that thrills me, whether I was in racing or in this position. That ideation that happens against, people's ideas and thoughts,
Yeah.
and then bringing people to a table who all have a different opinion, but each one of those tends to add a layer to the cake.
It really is. The idea really is like a seed.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it sprouts, and it may not be the exact thing that we talked about in the beginning, but at the end it's so much better because there were so many people involved and it has branched out, and somebody said a key word that kind of like ticked it off, and we're like,
Right.
that's the direction that
That's
we
it.
have to go.
Yeah.
And that's how we get more people's eyes on this.
I love that.
Well, not that we need more people, because quite frankly, after year two, was pretty amazing in terms of attendance of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's what the community wants. They
It
they
is.
want these events, and they want to be able to bring their kids out and families. They want
Yeah.
to be able to have a good time. And so the genesis of all that was the 150. And I think the other thing that came out of that, which I think is very significant, was we all understood the need for an event calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we
Yeah.
had the 150 fun things to do, which
Mhm.
is the calendar that I helped maintain. And what we realized from that was it really was an essential clearinghouse for information about events and art activities and things that were going on in Mooresville. And I know you guys have kind of taken the lead on that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on our page, mooresvilleevents.com. We're currently like in a testing phase, but it is live for people to add their events on it. Me and my marketing assistant, Megan, kind of like skim through online, and we've been adding things here and there, but we have had people hit submit, which is really fun, and we
We're
want more
testing-
people do it. Yeah.
Testing phase right now, but
Yeah.
it'll go live in I'd say a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it's part of the new website.
Yep. Yeah.
Tell us about
Well,
the
that, and again, that goes back
website.
to the genesis of an idea, right? It was,
Yeah.
we okay, let's, as the 150, it's not just what we're doing, it's all the events that are
Yeah.
going on that people have an opportunity to participate in. And through that, understanding that, wow, here's an opportunity that doesn't exist right now to create a more centralized
Right.
informational platform for people to be able to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a goal even before the 150.
Yeah.
That was when we kind of first joined the town 5 years ago, one of the main things that we heard from the community was we don't know about everything
We
going
want
on.
one place to go.
Right.
Right.
And people were
Yeah.
upset that they didn't know about these great events
Yeah.
happening. And so it's kind of been something that's evolved over time. And the arts and events, even the division as a whole, it's part of the purpose is to be a resource to help people engage.
Yeah.
But as part of that community calendar, it's kind of part of this new website. So tell us a little bit about the new arts and events website.
So we had originally had ourtownstage.com that we just felt wasn't like super user friendly. So that was like the number one thing, was like people to be able to navigate our new website much easier. So we have tabs along the top that kind of, not that they're, I don't want to say that actually. It's just super easy to navigate. We have upcoming events for, festivals, events, performing arts, things like that. We have a whole section that has contact information. So if you want to rent a facility, you can get some, super brief information, and then you can get contact information on how to do that. And then there's also contact information for becoming a vendor at one of our events, becoming a volunteer, and
that's
the
great.
sponsor,
Mhm.
a sponsor partner, which is very important.
Yeah. I mean, and we get a lot of requests for that,
Yes,
which is
we do.
amazing.
Every day I get messages about, oh, I hear Classic Christmas is coming up. Is your application still open? Like things
Right.
like that.
And we want the events to be,
Yeah.
for local people to be able to participate. It's their event. We
Yeah,
want them to be a part of
exactly.
it. So we'll talk more about that when we come back from the break. But I want to hear what rental facilities are available, because I don't know if everyone knows that. So
Absolutely.
we'll be right back with iHeart Mooresville after the break.
Cue the music.
We'll be right back with more iHeart Mooresville on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
What do you say we turn up the fall meter just a little bit? Cooler over the next couple of days around Lake Norman. Plenty of sunshine today as high temperatures climb into the upper 60s for the afternoon. We go back down in the low 40s under a clear sky tonight. Even a few spots around the outlying areas and farms that could wake up to the upper 30s on Wednesday, with high temperatures only in the low 60s for hump day. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
New lunch specials now available at Mooresville's best Italian spot, Pomodoro's. Open Tuesday through Sunday and ready to serve you the best Italian this side of the motherland. View the mouth-watering menu at Pomodoros.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to TillyHD.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Beef may be what's for dinner, but not at these prices. Customers stung by the high cost of beef increasingly have been turning to chicken, but that's just fine with Tyson Foods, which sells both. Declining fortunes in its beef business last quarter were more than offset by rising chicken demand. Also helping has been falling costs for chicken feed. Tyson now thinks its income will rise 22% next year. Shares are rallying 10%. Here's music to the ears of everyone who eats. Data compiled by Adobe finds that U.S. online grocery prices slipped last month for the first time since the arrival of COVID more than 4.5 years ago. It wasn't a big slip, just 0.1% from a year earlier. Adobe says composite prices for everything we buy online declined 2.9% from last year. On Wall Street, many traders are deciding on the same day to cash in their big post-election gains. So we have some losses. Dow falling more than 0.25%, S&P 500 down 0.25%, NASDAQ little changed. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Mooresville, how we feeling? Good. Welcome back to iHeart Mooresville on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Welcome back to iHeart Mooresville. We are talking with Alyssa Anderson, marketing coordinator for arts and events. And we were talking a little bit about the website. You were giving us an overview, and you mentioned rental facilities. So what are arts and events rental facilities that are available?
So I'll start with the biggest one, and that's the Charles Mack Citizen Center. So the jewel of downtown.
Ooh, that's right.
We have over 60,000 square feet. You can go to experiencecmcc.com or you can access it through mooresvilleevents.com, but you can host anything there, essentially.
Weddings,
birthday parties, corporate events, meetings, anything.
Yeah.
The other part of CMCC is the Jovi Knox Auditorium. It's a 233-seat auditorium. We host the Our Town Stage Indoor Concert Series there, as well as Mooresville Community Children's Theater. That's their home stage. We do dance recitals, plays, ethnic performances, like a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you just announced the 24-25 upcoming lineup, right?
We did, yes.
Ooh, we'll have to talk about.
Okay.
Yes, no, talk about.
Okay. So this Saturday we have Beatlesque, which is a tribute show to the Beatles. Unfortunately,
love me do. You know
It is
I
sold
love
out.
you.
That's not
If you
bad.
want tickets, I'm sorry, it's sold out. But
Oh.
you can call the Charles Mack Citizen Center and get put on the wait list. We do have a wait list if anybody.
People cancel sometimes.
They do cancel sometimes. January 17th, we have the Miracles. So that's Smokey Robinson's band.
awesome.
It's really, they sound awesome. I'm very excited.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm very excited to go to that one. In February, we have the Check-In for Murder by Sigmund Theatrical. It's the third time we've had the Murder Mystery series, and it is 2 days this year.
Yay!
It always sells out, so we're like, let's just give the opportunity for more people to go to it.
Yeah.
So it is February 14th and 15th, so it's a great Valentine's Day.
Murder mystery.
Yeah.
How best?
So somebody dies twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sad for them.
It's sad for them. Yeah. They get resurrected and then they die again. It's
Oh, okay.
unfortunate. And then kind of bringing up the rear after Mooresville Day next year, we have April 11th. Karen as Dolly is the name of the show. It's a Dolly Parton tribute band. She looks just like her. She sounds great. Like
I'm looking for
I'm really
Jolene.
looking for
Jolene.
Yeah, I will
I
not
love
sing,
it.
but it sounds
I was so excited
Yeah.
about that one.
Yeah.
And sorry, I
No,
cut you
that's
off because
okay.
I was so excited about the indoor concert series. So you said CMCC, JVK Auditorium,
Yep.
and then what were the other rental venues?
So you can rent the auditorium at the Mooresville graded high school. So it's
Yeah.
the Mooresville Performing Arts Center. Their website is mooresvillepac.com. And there is more information on there how you can rent that facility.
Sure.
There's like some backstage rooms if you need like some breakout space and stuff like that. But it is like just over 1,600 seats.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the overflow area. So it's nice to, if you are going to have a really big show or like dance recital or something like that. And then the last is you can rent the amphitheater at Liberty Park. So you get the amphitheater and the lawn.
Beautiful venue.
Very, very nice.
And just, to add to that, to dovetail on that,
Yeah.
Yes.
to ride the coattails, Parks and Recreation also has rentable spaces at
Yes,
all
they
of our
do.
recreation centers. So if
That's
you're
right.
looking for a place to host a kid's birthday party or a wedding reception or a bar mitzvah or anything.
Anything, yeah.
There are rooms of all sizes
Yeah.
available at 3 of our recreational facilities. So visit mooresvillerecreation.org to learn more, or you can call either the Selma Burke Recreation Center, the War Memorial Recreation Center, or the Winnie Hooper Recreation Center.
Yeah. I don't know if people realize you can rent. All of those facilities are rentable. We have
Yeah.
some great spaces here in
Yeah.
Nashville.
And I know one of the recreation centers has a kitchen also that you can rent.
Yeah, actually, this is big news. So Selma Burke Recreation Center has a professional kitchen,
Yeah.
which has been, received all of its certifications, and it is a top-notch facility. If you're looking, if you're, a lot of food trucks use it as a commissary, but it is a professional kitchen, and so if you're, happy to have an event and you want to really cook it up. Selma
need a
Burke
big space
Recreation
to do it,
Center
yeah.
has that, and they have a huge multi-purpose room there that can hold, a couple hundred people. And so it's a great space to hold events, and the value add being there's a kitchen right there.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Yeah, so if you are interested or have an event coming up that you need to rent space for, we have lots of spaces
Lots of
available
options, yeah.
with the Town of Mooresville facilities and space.
Everything's reasonably priced. Nothing's too crazy.
Yeah,
So.
that's the thing I like about
Yeah.
it the most is we really
Yeah.
do try to keep that cost down
Yeah.
at those facilities so it's affordable.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for the table. So since we have some marketing people in the room, I know there are so many ways that you can market. There's so much out there, you can hire a consultant, you can take this seminar, you can take this class we'll teach you about social media platforms, marketing, email marketing, all the different things. But I think what people really want to know is in today's world of, all of this content, for your business, if you were an individual or a small business just starting out and you don't have that big budget, what are things that you can do that you feel like you get the most bang for your buck or that you should focus on?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is like leveraging your social media. Figure out like the people that you're trying to reach. Figure out where they are on social media. Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Is it a new platform that hasn't been created yet, and make a profile and just really like sink your teeth into it. If you're a crafter or somebody who is like doing something that is visually appealing, like record yourself doing that and like create content that is relatable. Like there are so many people that do crafts per se. Like let's say you do your step-by-step and you're on Instagram or you're on YouTube or something. Make a reel, include the failures because that's relatable and people will most likely comment and be like, oh my gosh, that happens to me too. And you'll gain
they
followers
want real
that way. Yeah, they want real content. They don't want like the fancy, like
carefully curated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think, social media is personality driven.
It is.
It is. And so being able to infuse your personality into your content is what separates you. It makes you different. There's a lot of noise out there. And to your point, Alyssa, you really first have to identify who's your audience.
Right.
And where do they live?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is not for everybody.
It isn't.
Instagram is not for everybody. TikTok is not for everybody. But it's likely that your specific audience and who you're trying to reach lives on one of those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to understand who it is you're trying to reach. And then to your point, you have to like go all in. You can't. Social media is something. I call it feeding the beast. You have to feed the beast.
Yeah.
And if you're not creating content on a consistent basis, your algorithm isn't going to work, and you're going to push down, push to the bottom, and people aren't going to see your content. You do not need to hire a huge agency to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of the most successful people on the social media platforms are people who are just grabbing a camera and pointing it at their face, right? And
follow the trends. Like
Exactly.
make a real, do one of those silly like background music things that everyone's doing, and just tweak it to be your own.
Right.
It's scary because a lot of people don't like have the confidence to do it, but once you realize how easy it is, it's like smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, and don't get discouraged because ultimately it takes time to build an audience, to build a consistent following, and ultimately, as I said, personality. It's personality driven, and personality is what drives people to share, with their friends. The algorithm is really, in a lot of ways, based on shares, like not just people liking, because everybody does that, right? You can flip through and like 36 things in like 14 seconds, right? It's sharing, and specifically sharing with people that you're connected with. And that's what a lot of the platforms recognize. Okay, this was important enough to somebody to share it with their friend. Therefore, it needs to rise. It'll rise to the top of the pack. So, social media is one of those things. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil, but not everybody can do it well. And if you are a larger organization, you might need professional assistance, because it does take time, and you may need to, bring a third party in who can kind of evaluate what you're trying to do as an organization and put your best foot forward. But if you're a smaller business, you don't need that. You can do it yourself, but you do have to create a calendar. You do need to be diligent about it and to engage with the individuals that really want your content. And luckily, when you're doing social media, there are ways that you can target specific audiences, whether it's an age group, a demographic, an interest group, people who like certain things.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So there are so many different audiences out there, and I think people sometimes have trouble reaching specific audiences. And I don't think it's one thing, right? I think it's trial and error. It's a mixture of different ways that you're going to meet different audience. All audiences are not the same.
Yeah, and that's the relationship building aspect of it.
Yeah, so I think there are specific things that you can do to reach one audience, and it's going to be completely different for the next. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and kind of how to reach audiences after the break. We have a break coming up, but quick question before we do. What do you think is the top platform out there right now?
Again, depends on age group, but
Real
TikTok.
quick. TikTok.
Instagram.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back with Heart Mooresville talking about marketing.
Stay in the know with all things Mooresville. Heart Mooresville continues next on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
What do you say we turn up the fall meter just a little bit? Cooler over the next couple of days around Lake Norman. Plenty of sunshine today as high temperatures climb into the upper 60s for the afternoon. We go back down into low 40s under a clear sky tonight. Even a few spots around the outlying areas and farms that could wake up to the upper 30s on Wednesday, with high temperatures only in the low 60s for hump day. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes, cookies, toys, and gifts. The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Hot Rods and Hops is back on Friday night at Rev Fast in Mooresville. The cruise-in featuring souped-up cars, trucks, and motorcycles kicks off at 6 p.m. Your weekend begins at Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville Friday night with Hot Rods and Hops. Langtree Lake Norman lights their Christmas tree on Saturday. The annual event begins at 5 p.m. Festivities include visits with Santa, bounce houses, vendors, the Langtree Charter Academy Band, and more. Come out Saturday to Langtree Lake Norman off exit 31 from I-77 for their annual tree lighting. The WSIC squad is back for trivia at Micaiah's. Come join us on Tuesday, November 19th at Micaiah's in Mooresville for Big Bang Theory trivia. Meet WSIC show hosts, play trivia based on the popular long-running sitcom, and win some prizes. Knock, knock, knock. Penny? We'll see you at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, November 19th. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway begins Friday, November 22nd. The Holiday Light Show features more than 5 million lights on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. The show also has drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last. Don't miss the Renaissance Festival. Huzzah!
All things Mooresville to keep you in the Noseville. Join in the conversation by calling 844-STUDIO-4. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to this extremely lively social discussion here on Heart Mooresville and WSIC. I'm your host, Don Smyle, along with Christine Patterson and Alyssa Anderson from the Arts and Events team at the town of Mooresville. We've had a lot of fun talking about marketing, something we're both passionate about, and it's interesting. When I was working in NASCAR, when I first got into NASCAR, marketing wasn't even a thing. Their idea of marketing was just put somebody's logo on the side of a car.
Slap a sticker on the
right?
car. Yeah.
And, people were just throwing money at it. And then what happened was it was much more of a B2C play, meaning a business to consumer play.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of businesses like General Mills and these other, Tides and all these companies that were really trying to sell to consumers.
Yeah. Right.
And so you would go to the store and you would just NASCAR drivers were plastered over cereal boxes and coffee cans and soda cans and beer cans, and it was everywhere. And then this transition started to happen where businesses started to say, okay, what else can you do for me?
Yeah.
And where's the value add in all of this? And so then it started to become a B2B play. And NASCAR suddenly wanted, the partners wanted to be able to do business with other partners. That was the main purpose. And that's kind of where we are now. It's much more of a business to business platform. And so when sponsor partners come to you or when you go to them, what they want to know is, okay, you have a partner that creates this widget, right? We want to either sell that widget, distribute that widget, or find some way to work with their widget. Right. And so what you have to be able to,
I always thought that was a weird word, widget.
And so what you have to be able to do is open those doors to those conversations so that company X you already have can do business with company Y. And that's really, the enticing part of the NASCAR platform.
Yeah, and which we saw even with the 150th anniversary. We had partners that partnered on the beer. We had Junior Motorsports with the Bowtech. We had some partnerships there, even with the barbecue and the feed and see. And I think they want that. I think they want that exposure, and they do want to be able to connect with other businesses locally, which is obviously nice. And we're able to create that platform. And just in general, if you look at it from a community standpoint, I think people want to be able to connect, and I think it's different for different types of partners. I mean, whether it's our volunteer partners, most of our volunteer partners do it because they want to have a booth at the event. They
Yeah.
want to be able to connect with people, and they want to be able to talk about the services that they offer to be able to reach more people and serve more people.
Yeah, and I will tell you that one of the things that that we did in the 150 was we got away very quickly from the old school way of doing it, which was the gold, silver, and bronze package, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which used to be the way. And if you're a business or an organization who's out there wanting to bring in sponsor partners to elevate your business or for a community event or something you want to do, what you have to understand is those platform that way of thinking doesn't work anymore because specific sponsor partners want to know what you can do for them.
Yeah.
And if you give them an A, B, or C choice or a gold, silver, bronze package, what they immediately think is, this is the same thing you're doing for everybody else. So
Exactly.
how does it differentiate
Yeah.
me,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That's why
Why
we
would I want
a
to
la
invest
carte.
money,
Yeah.
right? Right. Why would I want to invest money to get the same thing that you're giving to everybody else?
Right.
Yeah.
What that means is you haven't done your homework. You do not understand the person you're talking to. You don't understand their business goals, and you don't
Yeah.
understand what they're currently doing from a marketing perspective. That's the voice you have to have when you have that conversation with them,
Yeah.
because that makes them understand that you've done your homework and you're thinking about how you can make them better. How can you
Right.
help them? Not
Preach.
how, right?
Preach.
So,
And so, what is the right way to do that?
the right way to do.
So if it's not bronze,
Mhm.
silver, platinum, what's the right way?
Well, as I just said, you really need to do your homework and understand who it is you're talking to, because every potential partner, and we saw this in the 150, has different goals. Some it's simply community exposure. Some it's volunteer opportunities for their employees to get out in the community. Some it's telling their story,
Right.
and some it's actually interconnecting with their existing marketing strategies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So everything starts with you doing a little bit of homework, but then having a conversation and listening.
Yes, that's what I was going to
I
say.
was just going to say
It's
that.
Listening.
talking to them,
Right,
to find
listening to
out.
what they actually are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like first meetings, we have some idea, just from what we can see from the outside.
It's our homework, doing our homework.
We do our
Yeah.
homework. And we have, like you said, for all of those different like fingers on the hand, like we have options for that, but we also say to them, like, we ask the question, what is it that you're trying to do? And we can use all of those things as jumping off points.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, if somebody's like, oh, I just want to get in front of somebody, it was like, okay, well, what is it that we can do that helps you get in front
Right.
of the people?
And it's thinking outside the box too. I think along the process,
Yeah.
like we were able to identify some other opportunities that we wouldn't have thought
Exactly.
that were assets or resources
Mhm.
that we had that were important to them and are able to help. So it's not putting yourself in a box.
Correct.
And it's thinking about, oh, okay, that actually might be helpful.
Well, that's the reason it's called a partnership, because ultimately it is a partnership between you and that organization or that individual to create an opportunity that's mutually beneficial for both.
Right.
If it's one-sided and somebody walks away from that unhappy, well, first of all, you don't have a repeat customer, and secondly, you've got bad, ill will, and they feel like they wasted their money. And so you really have to understand that partnership. And there are dynamics in that, and there's certainly limitations to what you can offer. But at the end of the day, that partnership is what brings them back. That's
Yeah.
why
Mhm.
DeBow came back, right? Because
Yeah.
they understood that we were partners in this, and that they were listened to, they were valued, they understood what they were going to get, and ultimately we delivered on that from a
Right.
150 perspective, and that's why they came back this year.
Yeah, that's right. So, if you've got partners, make sure that you are listening to them, that you are talking to them. You can make sponsorships work. It's about having that conversation and building that relationship to see what's important to them. I want to circle back to the conversation we were having before the break about social media and platforms, because I think as a small business or individual that is starting up, any type of business or organization, that's really the most cost efficient way to reach your audience in the beginning, especially.
Yeah.
How do businesses identify what platform is best for them?
I think that's another research thing, kind of looking at what they're, providing to the community and seeing where other businesses like them live, and maybe even branching out a little bit. So if they see a lot of crafters are on Instagram, make an Instagram, also make a YouTube maybe, or also make a TikTok or anything like that.
Yeah.
I feel like Facebook for selling has become more like home selling things and not really like business selling things. So to me, that doesn't particularly make any sense.
What about you, Don?
Yeah, I think, you have to understand who your customer is. And, is it a specific age group? Like, so if you're selling, I don't know, T-shirts, right? And you have a store that makes custom T-shirts or whatever. You're gonna have a younger demographic, right? And so you need to understand who your audience is, who is buying your product or service. If it's a much broader service like plumbing or home sales and things like that, that's a different audience. And so there are tools out there and resources you can look it up and figure out there are so many resources out there that will tell you the average age, average demographic, average income for individuals in this geographic region who are visiting your location and purchasing. Now, and if you have online business, you're going to be able to pull those metrics too. And so you really need to do your research and understand that, and then look at the platforms. As I said, Facebook tends to skew older, and that's because it's an older platform, right? Instagram
makes me feel old. Facebook is for older crowd now.
Well, I'm guilty of it too. And Instagram was the next platform, and it was a much younger audience. And then TikTok came along, and it's even a younger audience. And so the next platform will come soon, and these other ones will kind of become a little older, and the demographic will change. And so you have to understand where your customer lives,
right?
And where are they absorbing content organically already, and that's where you want to put yourself in front of them.
Right now, because it's always evolving. It could be different next year.
It could be.
That's the crazy thing about marketing, is it's just continuing to evolve. So what about things like email marketing? Do you feel like for businesses that are new, is that something that can be helpful? Is getting a database to email market?
I think so. I think that's something that we do a lot, especially for our performances that we have and like the big events, is we do send out email blasts. I think it's pretty easy, depending on what you're doing, to collect the emails. And I think it's important to, kind of like remain relevant. So maybe not sending out too many emails or too little emails.
Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the key, is you don't want to bombard people.
You will get unsubscribed very quickly. But I think online community is important, but I also think in-person community is important. So like if you are a business that has a storefront, or you're somebody who just sells online, but it's more like a crafting thing, like I think it is important to like go out and make those relationships also. Like it doesn't have to just be social media.
Yeah, word of mouth is
still very important. Like the people who sell from you can be your brand ambassador.
Well, the other thing that
buy from you,
very quickly, that's important about email marketing is what you say immediately when somebody receives that. The immediate thing that they see, that first,
like the subject line.
The first subject line that they see is going to determine whether they open it or not.
Yeah.
And it also will determine whether they think it's spam or not.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, if you're going to be sending these out consistently, you need to brand that so people understand, I want to look at this, one, because I've signed up for it, right? Or because I know it's good information the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
To your point, or you will get unsubscribed.
Right. And there's tools that are pretty cost efficient. I mean, what is it, like $50 a month to be part of an email marketing program? So that's definitely a way that people
So I'm going to market Mooresville Parks and Recreation very quickly in our last minute.
Yes.
Go to mooresvillerecreation.org to learn about all the things that we do. It is way too complex to tell you in a short period of time, but all the information lives there. We are also on, now that we're talking about social, we are on Facebook and Instagram, so you can follow us at Mooresville Parks and Recreation.
And to find out all about the large-scale events, festivals, parades, all of those things in our community calendar, go to mooresvilleevents.com. Thank you both for sharing, information about marketing. I hope our listeners got some takeaways. If you are, just starting out or, own your own business, they can be helpful tips for you. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. This was I Heart Mooresville on WSIC News.